Ink Ribbon.
Before I say anything else in this video, I just want you to know that if you haven't played Final Fantasy X, there are definitely going to be spoilers in this. I really don't want you to click away, but just, there's spoilers. If you haven't played the game, go away. Come back when you have, and then we'll talk, okay? Okay, so this video is going to be a little personal for me, and hopefully I'm not the only one who feels this way about this game in particular. I think it's a good thing when a game sticks with you the way this game has. So, I am not a spiritual person at all. I'm about as non-religious as you can be, and I absolutely hate talking about politics. To the point that if people start talking about politics, I just leave the room. And my biggest fear in the world is death, which of course is inevitable. We're all going to die. Final Fantasy X is a game about spirituality, religion, politics, and revolves around death. And I love it. I'm probably gonna sound like a crazy person for part of this video, but this is just what I feel. I can't help it. Let's start with spirituality. At the end of the game, you learn that Tidus, the main character you've been playing as this whole time, isn't real. He's just a dream. Everyone makes fun of him for crying, but if I found out I wasn't real, I'd probably be crying too. The presentation of all of this is so beautifully done that I couldn't help but feel some sort of semblance of what I can only describe as spirituality within myself. We as humans are drawn to the ocean. Maybe not every single one of us, but most of us. It's why beachfront property is so expensive. While we're drawn to the ocean, we will only venture so far into it. Tidus, however, literally emerges from it. From dark depths of the unknown, he has spawned into existence, and as far as he and everyone else is concerned, he is real. It made me start to wonder about a lot of weird things, like having a spirit or a soul, and this was as a teenager, so my 16-year-old brain wasn't ready to handle this. And then we have the religion and the politics. Now, if you're religious or into politics, that's totally fine. I really don't care. But for me personally, I'm neither interested nor excited by the mention of either. Plus, my life experience has taught me that both of these topics are a great way to start arguments and end relationships, so I just choose not to participate. Final Fantasy X was the first time I ever genuinely cared about either. And yes, they are obviously not real, and that makes me sound stupid or whatever, but the reason I cared is because they revolved around proof. Unlike real-life religion, the characters see for themselves that their religion is real. Giant magical aeons that require strict training, self-sacrifice to save others, and the power to save the spirits of the dead from turning evil. I mean, that's really heavy stuff. It makes the followers of Yevon really believable, and you're able to empathize with characters like Wakka, who blindly follow their faith and hate a race of people who went against it. Which brings us to politics. The Al Bhed are hated by almost everyone for not following the teachings of Yevon. And all they were doing was making the choice to think for themselves, even at the cost of a normal life. Later in the game, you discover that the Al Bhed were actually right, and the religious leaders of the world were drunk with power and using all the forbidden things in secret. This was probably the biggest mirror to real life from the game. Corrupt politicians doing things they shouldn't behind closed doors is just reality at this point. But all of this goes back to the fact that it's based on proof. There is proof of the magic, and proof of the death. For me, death is a very heavy topic, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people. I believe in science, so I believe that when you die, it's kind of like before you were born, where you just didn't exist, there was nothing. I think we go back to that state, which is terrifying and awful if you think about it way too much. And these are the thoughts I was having as like an 8-year-old, so as a child it was not fun to think about this stuff. Well, in Final Fantasy X, the world revolves around death. In fact, it's named Spira, which is to signify the spiral of death. Honestly, it's really depressing. There's a giant monster indiscriminately killing mass amounts of people for reasons still unknown, at least to me, and it's just endless tragedy for the people in Spira. Most of the characters are stone-hearted and don't get too emotional about death because it's so common. Well, the thing that stood out to me, and something I've never stopped thinking about, is that their religion, death, and afterlife are all proven. When death occurs, you can see the Pyreflies leaving the body, much like a spirit. This is also how Tidus was spawned into existence. How people cheating death are revealed, like the Sixth Sense, where you find out that they were dead the whole time. And it's even part of death animations for enemies that you fight, so long as they're alive and not robots or something. But then we get to the biggest thing this game threw at my brain that I was not ready for. The Farplane.
What the?
The Farplane is where you can go to see the dead. You walk in, think of the person, and if they are dead, they will appear in front of you. Now, they can't talk or react in any way, but you can see them, and know that not only are they dead, but that they've moved on to the afterlife, and it's a beautiful afterlife. Flowing rivers and waterfalls, floating islands covered with flowers, and millions of Pyreflies freely floating around. It's as beautiful as it is sad. So, imagine if you could go somewhere and see a loved one that died, or a friend or a pet that died, and it's just somewhere that you can check on them and make sure that they're okay, and make sure that they're like happy and that they've moved on. That's really heavy stuff. There's a question that a lot of gamers like to ask, and that question is, if you could live in any game world, what world would it be? For this reason alone, I would say the world of Spira. However, I'd prefer to be in the world of Final Fantasy X too, where Yuna has defeated Sin, and you don't have to worry about your town being wiped off the face of the earth at any given moment. Final Fantasy X did weird things to my mind. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it wasn't too much of a downer, but there's a lot of things in life to be very happy about, so don't be sad. If there are other games that affected you this deeply like this did me, I'd love to hear about them in the comments, because I know there's a lot of games that I haven't tried that probably have an amazing story like these. If you like this video, then feel free to check out my other videos, and I invite you to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to check out the community tab where you can vote on future videos. And if you want to support me on Patreon, that's always appreciated. I've got my first supporters, and it's really cool to know that people care enough about what I'm doing. I'm trying to hit a $100 a month goal, and then I can start making 2 videos a week. Yeah! I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon. And a very special thank you to the following Patreon supporters. Your support means so much to me. Thank you.